Hello everyone, welcome to the program. This is Politics Today live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimbalo here in Abuja. Congratulations, I may say, to all of Nigerians who have endured these last 25 years of our nascent democracy since the return to democratic rule and handover from the military junta. And now we are faced with handing ourselves the benefit of the doubt of being governed by a civilian-led administration over the last 25 years. Tomorrow, Nigeria will be celebrating its Democracy Day. For the last few years, that Democracy Day had been changed to June 12, commemorating one of Nigeria's freest and fairest election, which saw MKO Abiola win the election in 1993. Well, tomorrow will be the day. And to commemorate that day, there has been activities at the presidential villa. Today was a lecture. And part of that lecture was the one delivered by the former president, Goodluck Jonathan, who has been talking of the need to improve infrastructure development in the country, and was specifically asking that Nigerian leaders need to focus on sustaining our democracy, and specifically trying to speak on the need for the present administration, what they need to do in maintaining and sustaining our democracy. Take a listen to the former president.
For democracy to yield its desired dividends, the political class and elite must lead by example and work with unity of purpose to guarantee peace and social justice to the citizens. And our lifestyle must reflect that we are elected people. A situation where children of political office holders go to parties and start spraying dollars is not the kind of democracy we want to witness in this country. We need to come up with a model of democratic practice that will be more inclusive and reinforces social cohesion. The zero-sum kind of politics where a winner takes it all has not helped to foster unity and political justice. So our National Assembly can also look at models that will suit us. The zero-sum that a party that even sometimes gets 40% of votes, especially at the state levels, will have nothing, give rise to this do-or-die politics. That zero-sum approach, I think, is inimical.
Right, that's the former president, Goodluck Jonathan, talking about what is needed to sustain and maintain our democracy. Everyone, what is the gold reserve bill anyways? For several years and decades also, Nigeria has had gold under the ground, but then has not lived with the benefits of that. We've mined and we've exploited oil, which become our mainstay in our economy. But what about gold? A lot of people think that we have loads and loads of that potential under the ground, but it has not really amounted economically to anything significant to our economy. Tonight, the senator that proposed the gold reserve bill in the National Assembly will be joining me, and afterwards on the program tonight, we'll be dissecting the significance of the NDDC as the NDDC presented its 2024 budget. What is the NDDC role in the development of the Niger Delta in the south-south region of the country? That is our focus tonight, everyone. But first, before we get it talking about our major focus of the night, let's check out some of your political roundup stories.
The Senate has passed the 98.5 billion naira 2024 supplementary budget from the Federal Capital Territory Administration. The Senate President Godswill Akpabio announced the passage during plenary today after the consideration and adoption of a report of the Committee on FCT on the supplementary budget by Senator Mohammed Ibrahim, representing Yobe South. Before the consideration of the report, Senator Ireti Kingibe had raised a point of order to officially lay complaint to her exclusion from the activities of the Committee on the FCT, of which she is a member. Her point of order was noted by the Senate President, who further advised her to, in accordance with the rules, communicate her complaints and present them before the House via a motion. And a bill for an Electoral Act amendment to cure the mistake of the National Assembly in the last election has scaled second reading in the House of Representatives. The bill, amongst other things, seeks to allow members of the National Assembly to vote as statutory delegates in party primaries. Lawmakers in the amendment in 2022 had erroneously omitted themselves from voting in primaries. The bill also seeks to address the issue of intentional overvoting in a polling unit and prosecution of the errant presiding officer. Meanwhile, the House has resolved to intervene in the crisis rocking the Plateau State Assembly and is summoning the Minister of Transportation over the recent derailment on the Abuja-Kaduna service. A high court in Rivers State has nullified Section 3 of the Rivers State House of Assembly Service Commission Law, recently amended by the Martin Amiawele-led Assembly. The amendment, which was recently enacted after the Assembly vetoed Governor Siminalayi Fubara, transferred the power to appoint the chairman and members of the commission from the governor to the Speaker of the House. Concerned about the significant change, the Association of Legal Legislative Drafting and Advocacy Practitioners, a non-governmental organization, initiated a legal action to seek the court's interpretation of the amendment in line with the Nigerian Constitution. Delivering the judgment, Justice Kariba Dagogo-Jack ruled that the amendment violated Section 5, 176, 197, and 198 of the Nigerian Constitution. In Kaduna State, Governor Uba Sani has released 110 inmates from the Nigeria Correctional Center in the state as part of activities to mark this year's Democracy Day. The governor, who personally visited the Kaduna State Correctional Center in company of human rights lawyer Mr. Femi Falana SAN, makes case for the rehabilitation of correctional centers in the state, noting that his decision to release the 110 inmates is in line with the prerogative of mercy powers conferred on him by Section 212 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. On his part, Femi Falana, while commending the governor for granting pardon to the inmates, appeals to state judges to order periodic inspection of police stations in their states in a bid to check illegal detention, as well as calling on state governors to prioritize the rehabilitation of correctional centers in their respective states. The Rivers State chapter of the All Progressives Congress have berated former Governor Rotimi Amechi over his comments where he accused those working with the Minister of the FCT, Mr. Nyesom Wike, cannot withstand hunger. At a news conference in Port Harcourt, the Secretary of the Rivers APC Caretaker Committee, Mr. Eric Wibani, accused the former minister of lacking leadership qualities to hold the party together and constantly failing to win elections. He notes that the party has agreed to work with the FCT minister despite being in the PDP because he is the president's choice and they are bound to support President Tinubu.
Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us on the program. Let's get to it. And a very first conversation tonight is about the Gold Reserve Bill. That bill passed a second reading. Is a bill for an act to make provision for Nigeria's gold reserve industry. It was sponsored by a lawmaker representing Kogi Central on the platform of the PDP, Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. The bill is seeking a robust framework for the harnessing, exploitation, and marketing of gold. It's reported that Nigeria has about 600,000 tons of gold reserves worth about $45 billion. The senator in a bill is proposing the legislation to present a significant opportunity to drive economic growth and diversification by creating a conducive environment for investment in the gold sector that can attract both domestic and foreign investors, stimulate job creation, and boost revenue streams for the government. Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan joins us live here in our Abuja studio. Thank you so much, distinguished, for joining us tonight.
Good evening, Cheryl. It's good to have, I'm grateful that you have me here. And I've really missed being in studio.
Yeah, this is your first time since your inauguration, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. I took a break. I took the much-deserved break.
But how's it been being a senator of the Federal Republic?
Oh, it's been quite interesting. It was everything I expected. I've been busy legislating, oversighting and representing my people. And I've also been able to strike a balance with my home. Yeah. Still cook.
As a mother, as a wife, and all that.
Yeah, I still cook. I still do everything. So striking a balance, that's what matters more to me, but I'm glad that my people are happy so far, and I've been able to learn the ropes quickly in the Senate, and yeah, I've had my debate for my very first bill.
That's good. It's interesting. It's golden. It's about to go. So, I mean, are you also managing local politics in Kogi?
I visit home often, trying to strengthen the structure and ensuring that there are no aggrieved parties, mending fences. Mind you, my election was a one-way whereby people across all political platforms voted me. Gratefully, I'm so grateful to my people for that. So I've been able to manage that. But most importantly, I have focused on delivering my promises that I had captured in my manifesto, which is to project their very concerns with regards to the healthcare situation, educational reforms, and all of that in the budget. And I've done pretty much well.
So it's less of political fights now and battle.
I'm all about working. Now there's time for politicking, there's a time for the elections, and now it's time to work. And I find the fellow senators in the National Assembly, they're quite embracing across all parties.
I mean, interesting that there are just a few of you who are female senators.
Just 4 of us.
Just 4 of you. I mean, I said dwindling. By the year, the representation of women is dwindling. Are you worried about that, though?
I am very worried. And as a matter of fact, I've had quite a number of meetings with international organizations and embassies of certain countries that are really concerned and are willing to offer support, especially when we present the gender bill, which I'm working closely with distinguished Senator Ireti Kingebe and the other 2 female senators. Yeah. So there are certain conversations going on around that, and we hope that by the time we present it, we'll have a greater support, especially from our male folks, and the president himself will assent to that, so we can have a greater representation. Because 4, as a number of representing people of over 100 million, I think that's quite a poor in ratio.
And you've got some very good representation too. Very strong women. Yourself, Senator Kingebe, and a former deputy governor in Lagos State.
And Idiot, fantastic women.
You've got some very strong women in there. And kudos to you.
Thank you.
It might be drowning when it's only baritone that you hear across the room and find the...
We've learned to raise our voices up. We raise our voices up whenever we're not heard. And we have, the Senate President always says, Senator Natasha, we're all men here, okay? So speak like a man. There's no softening the ground for you. You decided to be here, so you have to
you're trying to find your way around the room. How tough is that, though, in a male-dominated arena?
I would say, first, for myself, I'd like to focus on the context of what I'm speaking about, and I don't take into consideration that I'm a woman. So I don't present femininity at work. I present competence. I'm a woman, I'm a senator, I'm duly elected like everyone here, and I speak my ground.
And those who saw you fought your way politically in Kogi will say you fought like a man too.
That's what they say. They say I fought tougher than a man. Yeah.
All right. Let's get to the matter. Some of the female in the Senate are trying to buy gold, but you are digging for gold, and it seems that you are almost there. Second reading that your bill is passed now. Why are you interested in gold?
It all started. The idea to sponsor the gold bill came up in February at a committee, the banking committee, of which I'm a member of. We were screening the CBN Monetary Policy Committee, and there sat the DG Sec, which is Lamido Yuguda. And I asked him a question. If you become a part of the CBN Monetary Policy Committee, how do you intend to boost Nigeria's gold reserve? And do you mind letting us know exactly what the status of the gold reserve is? And his response shocked me, as it did shock the other members of the committee. He said that indeed the CBN did have a gold reserve, but the last time CBN bought a gold bar was in the 1960s. And I thought, wait.
Since the 1960s?
1960s was when the CBN bought a gold bar. That means the last time the Nigerian Central Bank took stock of a gold bar in its reserve was in the 1960s. And then that now led me to begin to research. I was like, okay, I remember when we were in primary school, we all had this atlas, where we saw the pyramids, granite pyramids up north, we see the cotton, and I remember gold in Elisha. And I was like, if we had gold all this while, then why don't we have renowned gold refineries, gold processing zones, and then having them bullioned and Nigeria's own share being reserved in the central bank? I mean, that will bring about economic stability. It will bring about, apart from the job generation, the foreign direct investment it will project, and, you know, it will bring a lot of cushion, especially right now that our currency is weakening. So I thought, you know, we can't get our gold exploited, explored, and marketed to the very advantage of Nigerians. And of course, as where we can get our CBN begin to yearly announce how much we have in our gold reserves, and we can begin to trade with them. And we've seen countries that actually enter into foreign investments in trading their gold. So I think I thought about that, and I spoke to members of the committee. I began to network. I was also told that it was such a dangerous bill to pass, considering certain interests with regards to the illegal mining. And I was also made aware that there could be some international forces that would frown at that, because, you know, wherever there is chaos and uncertainty in Nigeria, there are certain people that benefit from that. So I took time. I spoke to my husband, because I had to let him know that, okay, there's some murky waters that I would step on. I would get to swim in, but I made him understand the importance, and he told me, okay, go ahead. I had the reason why.
Your husband was also
yes,
an inspiration for this, isn't it?
Yes, I'm saying this because as a woman, you know, we talk about women in politics. It's very important to know that in everything I do, I take into cognizance the dangers that my family could be exposed to. And so the first thing I did was to let my husband know that this is what I was going to do. And once I got okay, I also let the Senate President and a few other senators around, and I began to network, to lobby, to develop. It took me February, March, April, May, June, about 4 months to develop a 40-page draft of the bill. So I figured out that there was going to be a need for the Gold Reserve Authority, or the Gold Corporation, as it may be called. We would need to have the artisanal miners taken into consideration, because if you know, right now, a lot of insecurity and killings that take place in these gold-saddled communities is likely because so. Yeah,
we have a gold potential of over $40 billion US.
It's actually even much more than that.
Yeah.
It's if you calculate, if you multiply 300 million ounces, I'm going to use ounces as a measurement scale, 300 million ounces by the rate of gold per ounce today, which is about $2,300 US. We are talking about $700 billion worth of gold reserve.
And it's been said, Senator, this year alone, that over almost $1.5 billion worth of gold has gone into private gold mining, or exploitation has gone into only private hands in Nigeria. That means that the nation has been shortchanged, and that the Nigerian people had not really gotten the benefit. But how would this bill allow Nigeria, just like we're getting from oil, and Nigeria, the states of the Federation, get money from oil, are we going to be able to benefit from gold exploitation and marketing?
Definitely. Once this legislative framework is established, and that will give birth to certain gold directorates and the Gold Authority, which will be situated under the Ministry of Solid Minerals. All of these regulations, you know, we are going to curb these excesses of the illegal miners. And mind you, the projections you just gave now are just minimal, because you would never really have an estimate of the true value of gold as it's been exported out.
How much of the ill in the industry have you found out? Because you've put your hands in a whole lot of...
The first I will say this is that the lives that have been lost because there are no mining regulations. About a few weeks ago, 30 miners were trapped in an avalanche, should I say, in Niger State. Once this, I think the greatest loss is the lives that are being killed, or the people that are being buried in submerged mines. That happens because we have not set standards as to mine. So these illegal miners, they go into these holes and keep digging, and they paid peanuts for that. They don't even understand, these communities that have gold don't even understand the true value of what they have. Because some of our communities and states are so blessed that at every rainfall, we see gold, the ground shines. And I would say the greatest loss that our country encounters is with regards to the loss of lives because of the encouragement of these illegal miners. And the second one I talk about is the various community clashes. We've seen several communities displaced. People systematically create chaos in communities that are blessed with minerals. And all of this happens because, again, there are no regulations. And the monetary part of it we talk about is the currency stability. Every time our naira almost got to 2,000 to $1. Now imagine if we had, over time, developed our gold reserve by deploying the very best international practices in gold. Do you know what we would have been? We would not just relying alone or relying on oil. How
have you thought about the framework in such a way that the states are able to, not only that they are rich under the ground and they are poor? How, I mean, and we saw what happened in the Niger Delta over the years.
Yeah, with the oil.
Now, they are living, and their water polluted every day. They're living, standing on oil deposit, but then they are poor. So the question is, how will these states and the local community be able to benefit? Are you thinking based on the experience of the Niger Delta region?
Yeah, as of today, gold falls under the exclusive list, just like oil, whereby it's a sole product of the federal government, right? But I think in the course of this public hearing, because we're going to invite the states as stakeholders, you know, to participate in how they would want the legislation to be drafted. But in a bit to have a buyer participation and the spirit of true federalism, it only makes sense that that gold could fall under the concurrent list, whereby both the federal and the state would have a right to decide the terms of its exploration and also benefit from the taxes that could be generated from that. Another advantage of this gold reserve, which I thought the gold framework, is the environmental protection. Just like many other areas that have been, where minerals have been mined, if you look at a typical area where gold is mined, the environment is usually degraded, you know, and the investors, should I say, the illegal miners, the big wigs care little or nothing about how the community are able to farm or fend or the kind of water they drink. Mind you that for every area where gold is mined, a lot of water is being utilized, a lot of water. So that means a lot of water is polluted. And imagine children and drinking such water, or everybody, don't even talk about children, everyone drinks water that is polluted. And these people usually suffer the greatest burn. So this regulation is such multifaceted that it takes care of every aspect, not just in terms of generating revenue for the government, but also thinking about better lives and quality of life for the environment and the communities that this mineral is being harnessed from.
Are you trying to gain any experience from other climes that the United States and other climes? I mean, you find a lot of gold potentials in the U.S. and leading the business in gold industry globally. But there are dynamics to how things are panning out in those climes. Are you getting experience from how they are faring and what they have experienced over the last few years?
Yeah, I only studied the past few months. I read a lot about the Indonesian mining sector and how much just in a few years, just about 4 years, that the Indonesian government decided to put a structural framework around nickel and gold. They were able to generate over 1,000% increase in income from this sector. So I did study that. I also looked at certain countries like Ghana that actually has so much more gold than Nigeria and how they have poorly behaved. You know, they have not been able to
But how many countries still trade in gold these days?
Oh, it's actually a lot of countries right now. If
I'm
you look
not
at
sure
the
there
BRICS,
is anyone.
BRICS, India itself, India, Brazil, Russia, and many others, they're actually developing. Some don't just trade, but they just develop their reserve as a cushion, economic cushion. It was in the news about 6 days ago or 7 days ago that India has requested the return of its gold from the UK reserve. And there's been debates like as to why is India calling that. But then they just said no, they just want to have their
So
gold
you see
reserve
a lot of
countries are beginning to
and you are hopeful that
understand
this will pass.
that, of course, it will pass. A lot of countries are beginning to realize that. I mean, paper currency that fluctuates, and then as against something more is a tangible asset. And so that's what, even in America, UK, France, Germany, countries that don't even have gold are increasing their gold reserves. and you ask a question, where do they buy their gold from? Invariably, you can connect the dots.
Yeah.
While one country that has a lot of gold sells it illegally for close to nothing at a loss, and other countries that, even though they don't trade in gold, but they are constantly developing and building their gold reserves for future sake.
All right, Senator,
Yeah.
I wish you the very best in these your pursuit, and hoping that it will cross the hurdles of the passage, the third, the fourth, and finally the president ascent. I wish you the very best. But
Thank you
there's
so much.
some controversial bills that have passed through the national anthem. One will be wondering, a lot of Nigerians are asking, is it the national anthem that is our problem now? Why did you and your colleagues think that Nigeria need a new national anthem at this stage of our lives, Senator? You voted yes for that bill, isn't it?
Here's what I'll say. If you listen to the words of the national anthem that has been the new national anthem, I wouldn't say it was actually an older national anthem.
Yeah. The old new or the new old, whichever way.
The new old. If you listen to the words of the national anthem, I think they actually resonate more with the spirit of building patriotism. And that does not mean that the old national anthem, which tried to honor our heroes past and the works of our youth into national building, that doesn't mean that it's not in any way good. But I would just say that it wasn't a unilateral decision, and neither was it just one arm of government that decided to deploy that. It was, I would say, a collective effort. And to those who are aggrieved, I would just say, read the words, or should I say?
Lyrics.
Read the lyrics in their true term. The words alone cannot build nationhood, but our actions will. So let us put aside the debate on whether this is the right time to change a national anthem, but let us project more of how we can collectively support Nigeria to be better. I'm in PDP, but I have come to accept that the president, Tinubu from APC, is the president of Nigeria till 2027. And every day I wake up thinking, how can I contribute my own quota in that little space I find myself? How can I help my country grow? And that is why I've refused to join a lot of quite controversial issues, but I've thought of cracking my mind and bringing about the gold bill, as many others that I'm going to bring forth in the coming weeks and months, so I can bring about economic stability and help our country grow. And that's what other Nigerians should do.
Yeah, my final question to you will be the controversial anti-grazing bill that come onto the floor, which a lot of some Nigerians think that, how dare a lawmaker think that a cattle or a cow should be seen at par as human? How did you guys receive it on the floor?
I think there was just some misconception in that. What distinguished Senator Alero was trying to say was that the Nigerian constitutions allow free movement of persons and businesses across country. That means if you're an Igbo man or you're a Yoruba man from the south or east, you are free to establish your businesses in the northern part or whichever it is, as you know. And that what the whole argument is that herding or cattle rearing, as you say, should be looked at as an economic concern. You understand, as an economic concern, such that the interventions that the rice farmers get, the interventions that the cassava farmers get, the interventions that the fishermen get, so also should be same interventions that the herdsmen should get. And that, of course, due to climate change and many other unforeseen circumstances that have been falling us, therefore we should speak about grazing controlled grazing spaces for these herdsmen, so that we would not have cows walking the streets and destroying other people's homes. But however, let us talk about how we can identify or nurture herding as an economic concern. That caused me again to do a bit of research. And I looked at Argentina, I looked at Holland, I looked at even America, as it may be, as it is. How are they able to develop their herding business? And I discovered that there are actually seeds. There are seeds for different kinds of grasses. So now if you have cows that you are growing for milking, to produce milk for butter or whatever. Then you go for more of the ryegrass, the RYE grass. If you are looking at, if you want to have your cows fattened for beef, then you look more at the Bermuda grass. And these seeds are available. So I was just thinking, it would be out of place that as we provide fertilizers, sometimes at a discounted rate to farmers, or sometimes even for free to farmers, you know, and if we provide seedlings for other crops and other interventions for rice farmers, then it's not out of place if the federal government can say, okay, we are actually going to import these seeds, these grass seeds that grow fast and grow very nutritious. For example, the rye grass has protein of about 26%. Imagine grass having protein of about 26%. So it won't be out of place if we begin to build the ecosystem around herding, so as to allot a large piece of land for these farmers in selected states and say, you know what, you are going to be in this confined space. You have your schools, you have your clinic facilities, you have an entire community for you. And we're going to have these interventions, have this grass, grow them, and see that they actually help provide. Because most of these herdmen, the argument they make is that they love their cows. They are connected to their cows. They can't watch their cows starve. It's all about food. So that they don't even like this Fulani herdsmen, don't even like the fact that they have to walk away from their wives and children for months nurturing these cows. And that actually causes conflict, because when they stumble upon these farms, the corn farm, they then watch them eat. And that's, of course, very wrong. But I'm asking on the federal government if we can begin to look at herding as an economic concern. And understudy America, understudy countries like Brazil, in Argentina, and see how, even Japan, the Wagyu beef. Do you know that in Japan, the Wagyu beef, they actually massage these cows, and that's premium price. So let us begin to see how can we grow our herding business to a point where we begin to have bottled milk, we begin to have butter, we begin to have a lot of, even baby milk. The cows that produce baby milk were actually injected with DNA from human beings. That's to tell you how advanced, how innovation and technology have been deployed in herding. So we need to go into that.
All right. Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, thank you so much indeed for your time tonight. I appreciate it, and I wish you the very best in your good mining business of getting the law passed.
Thanks so much for having me here, Shem. It's always a pleasure being with you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll take a break, everyone, and when we return, our attention will be on the Niger Delta region of the country. The NDDC 1 trillion budget proposal gets our attention next, everyone. Join us again. Everyone, let's take you to the South region of the country, specifically the Niger Delta, where the Niger Delta Development Commission had proposed a total of 1.911 trillion as its 2024 aggregate expenditure. This was presented by the Managing Director and the CEO of the NDDC, Mr. Samuel Ogbuku, who declared last Monday that the presentation of the budget brings, it's going to be a kind of renewed hope to the region and bring some circle in developmental stride to the people of the region. We could pegged the proposed revenue brought forward at 12 billion naira. The arrears owed by the federal government and recoveries by federal government agencies stand at 170 billion naira. The further breakdown, it says legacy projects funded through borrowing is pegged at 1 trillion naira. And according to the proposal also, federal government will contribute 324 billion, while the ecological fund 25 billion, while all companies contribute 375 billion. Let's get a sense of what this means. Of course, at that sitting, the chair of that committee, Senator Akpeyonga, told the NDDC to ensure that it brings its budget early enough for quick passage, and so it will meet the window of the Nigerian national budget. I'm being joined by a political and social affairs analyst, Mr. Kolawole Johnson. Thank you so much indeed for joining us tonight. I remember discussing...
For dragging me here.
Literally. Discussing the Niger Delta, the NDDC, Honorable Off Your Mic scenario, and all of those things that are related to the Niger Delta region and the development in that region. Interestingly, you are also from that region of the country. But let's get straight to the point. 1/1 trillion naira budget. This is the highest that the NDDC has presented.
Yeah.
What do you make of that budget?
1.91 trillion naira.
Yeah, almost 2 trillion.
Yeah.
100 billion shy of 2 trillion.
Yes, less than 100 billion, or 1.91, say about 90 billion, short of that. I mean, yeah. You mentioned off your mic. While off your mic is a cliche in the public space, for me, it was off your life. I nearly went down the grave for that exercise, I remember dropping from 97 kg to about 61, 2, 3. I was hovering, around that at some point. And I nearly lost my life for doing that. And unfortunately, for all the young guys we put together to do that, nothing. Nothing has changed, unfortunately. You think you're able to do some things that will change the dynamics of the commission, that will ensure that it deliver more to the people. Unfortunately, we've not seen that. And to this very 1.9 trillion naira budget, let's ask, when the budget was presented, did the Senate look into the budget performance of last year? Let me take you to last year. Around May, just about a year ago, 876 billion was approved for the same commission by the same Senate. I remember that when they approved that, there was no budget performance for the previous years. In fact, it was so much that they said that the commission would not be able to implement the 2023 budget because there was no 2021 and 2022 budget. Guess what? They needed to do a retro, they went back to be able to get their budget of those 2 years approved before they could implement the 2023 budget. And guess what they did? For the 2021, I think about 450 something was approved for 2021. And for 2022, about 925 billion was approved. Do you know how they got to that figure? They got to that figure because they only looked at, okay, what have we spent altogether this period? Let's put it together for approval. And this was done few days to the end of that particular Senate. I remember that the Senate set up an ad hoc committee to look at the books of the commission why they have not submitted budget for that 2 years. And it was...
so they've been spending extra
budget, yes. They've been spending without budgetary provision. And guess what? The chairman of that other committee that was set up, I think one Yusuf from either Taraba or Veribout, came back to the Senate to say, they did not get, in fact, they were not able to access the books of the commission to look at what they have spent for for those periods. And that, unfortunately, even for the first quarter of 2023, they were still not able to get documents to have access to the spendings of the commission. Yet the Senate, the National Assembly that should give the oversight function, approved the budget of 2023 without budget performance of those years.
So no transparency, no accountability,
none.
No appropriation.
They spent without an appropriation.
Almost every level of illegality.
Of course. Now let me come back to now. This very one. Was there a budget performance report for 2023 of the 876 billion naira that was approved for the same commission? And guess what? 490 billion naira was meant for projects, in quote. So they, put it in that budget. And another 330 billion naira was meant for, of course, interventions, from the federal government. If you check the act setting up the commission, the FG ought to come up with some measures at times, to alleviate sufferings in the region, to intervene. These were, of course, most of these things were to be funded by the commission. So the 330 billion was to be for that, while the 490 billion was to be for their own direct project. And you ask, if you have put 820 billion naira in project in the last 1 year in that region, have we actually done that? So where are those projects?
But what we imagine, Senator Ekpa is the chair of that committee.
Yes.
And they're from the same region.
Yeah.
And you see the likes of the former governor of Bayelsa State.
Yeah.
Those who perhaps we know the kind of development that have gone on in that region, we will look at the importance and the essence of the NDDC to that region, and perhaps you'll be asking the question, and you will ask the question whether or not they are able to get that performance, details of the performance and transparency or accountability report from the NDDC before going ahead to approve almost 2 trillion naira worth of budget.
Now,
do you think any of those were presented?
Of course. See, the borrowing plan was not presented to the Senate. And as a matter of fact,
you're talking about for the 2024 budget. So now, in the breakdown of the 2024 budget, let's take a look at it, because there are those senators and those lawmakers who are asking the question. The budget, the figure for borrowing was just stated as borrowing.
Yes, 1 trillion naira.
Yes, we know that the
developments and commercial banks.
Exactly. So the question is that what are the details? At what rate? What is the interest rate? Who is the bank? Who are those banks? Or which of these sectors are these monies coming from?
So let me. We were having a discussion. In fact, when you called in the afternoon or evening, we were having a discussion somewhere, and we were asking questions on this. And somebody asked me. He said, is this? Do you think it's worth it to even do anything at all, regarding this? And the question, and my response was simple. Do you think it's worth it if we do nothing about it? Now, this is the problem in Nigeria today, is that Nigeria is under the burden of debt that is throwing us away so much that last year we spent 106% of our income on budget, on a debt servicing alone. Now, the reason we are in this state is that we do not have money to spend on critical infrastructure. Now, what do you need to go borrow 1 trillion naira ahead? One, are you going to execute this project in 1 year? The answer is no. Now, you can get money from different sources, and you will face your project first, second, third year. And the monies that you're expecting from different sources would have been able to take care of this same project that you call legacy project. Let me take you back to last year when the former minister, Umana Mana, was in office. Sometimes around November, he said he got an approval from the president that about 480 billion naira should be spent on legacy project. And they said this money was domiciled in EFCC, representing the recovery that EFCC had made on their behalf over the years. Till today, not a dime of that money is out. And guess what? When we challenged EFCC on that, the commission did nothing to see that the money of the people was brought out of that place.
Just remember, let me pause it for a moment. Okay. Let's go on this break. But a big question, and what got my attention, is when, for someone who had followed the development in that region, especially on the NDDC, and I saw almost 2 trillion naira worth of budget to the NDDC, compared to less than 1 trillion in the previous year. I thought that there's something that needs to be dug up in this particular matter. But we'll come back after this break to conclude on this matter. What is it for the future of the South-South region? The essence of the NDDC, the reasons and the sense behind these figures, and whether or not it's for the benefit of the Nigerian people. We'll be right back after this break, everyone. Thank you so much, everyone. Our concluding moments now on the development in the Niger Delta region, especially the budget of the NDDC, whether or not it's in the interest of the Nigerian people. Our concluding thoughts with Mr. Kolawole Johnson. You have been critical about the Niger Delta, the NDDC, and finances and the manner in which the accounting books have gone. Are you ready or willing to take another task of digging into this?
So when I did that the first time I was a boy, yeah, I know what I'm saying, but now I think better prepared, but focused on some things, but we are mining document. Let me show you, Shehu. It's not anything. See, what do you see here? This is March. Let me show you. This is March records, right? So this is up to 1st of June record. You see, this is...
And these are records of the NDDC.
Records? You are seeing their name there now. Isn't it their name? These are the records. They're here.
Of the fact that the funds are not properly utilized.
See, obviously. See, when you have time, let's look at the records of the past 2-3 years or even 1 year. maybe 1.5 years. Let's start from maybe January last year. You will see what was done between January and May last year.
But those who say there's a young man at the helm of affairs who is piloting change, Samuel Ogbuku.
Let me tell you.
And those who are, is it the system that is failing?
It's the system. See, if you leave Samuel alone, he would have been able to ensure some level of performances. But look, if you understand his surroundings, his environment, from the you mentioned.
So the system is catching.
The system is
Samuel
there.
is a good guy.
Everybody
wants
to fix on the system.
Why?
Somebody asked him. Somebody asked me
against
there.
the interest of the region.
I bet you. See, somebody asked me right outside your compound here. The question was, he said, okay, what is the committee chairman doing in the National Assembly? And he was asking of the one of the House of Reps. And I said, House of Reps, who? Father and daughter. Go say the godfather of NDDC today. Go and ask who the person is. The daughter is the chairman of the committee in the House of Reps. Go see the chairman of the board and another member again. Orcs are around the commission. They would not allow. No meaningful development can come if you have that kind of system in place. Unfortunately,
I mean, these are everything that we are saying.
See, have I ever been scared of this? Have I ever?
But
have I not brought to your
studio evidence of some of these
things? Brought to your studio a document, a bank statement, every damn thing. Even then, I told you, I said then I was a boy. Of course, that was even long ago. Right. I just showed you breakdown of of different things.
We're totally out of time.
Let me tell you,
we are totally out of time.
Just a few seconds. Why these? Why we have this in place, that the president has refused to set up the monitoring committee provided by Section 21, subsection 2, 1 and 2, or thereabout of the NDDC Act, because they have the power to look into the books of the commission anytime, any day. If you have that, we'll have this in place again.
That will find some time. Interesting scenarios.
Create a time. Let's open their books on your show.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We've done this before, and we've broken some kind of jinx in terms of what is going on in the NDDC. Well, Samuel Ogbuku has a whole lot of things on his hand, and wish him the very best anyways. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching tonight. Don't forget, tomorrow, 7 p.m., live on Channels Television is a special Channels Television security summit. You don't want to miss it. A whole lot will be said. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye, everyone.